Hello guys, welcome back to another lovely trading video. In this one we're going to be doing stock analysis on Moderna, ticker MRNA. So to get straight into it, it's up 7.5% today, and that's what I thought we'd do the analysis on it because there is targets that are quite key. So firstly, we're still kind of stuck in this range that we have been since around the 10th, which we're kind of just stuck in this formation right here. Now, we haven't actually broken out of this range just yet. You can see the high is around 413 and right now we're around 412.50. So we're still in this zone. So what can happen is we get a pullback around this 413.50 area. And that could come all the way back into the 360 area, all the way down to maybe a 350 area. However, if we break out of this zone and continue higher, our main target, at least for right now, is around $470, as that's the second deviation on both the 4-hour and the daily. So this would be a key area for us to either pull back or get a bounce and then retest it and have a breakthrough. However, the news point right now is kind of big. Obviously, Pfizer is up 7.5%. I'm assuming this is off the Pfizer getting FDA approved news, and it's more of just a sympathy play. So if we come back up to this, if we keep breaking higher, 470 is where I would, if I was long, start looking in profits, and maybe even think about getting a maybe short play on here. If it does for some reason break through this 470 level, obviously this $500 key level and all-time high is going to be a key level, but I don't really trade just that kind of all-time high level, so I would wait for it to kind of break into the deviation of 550 to around kind of 555 area. Here I can't see it going any higher than this, at least in the short term, because that would be quite heavy momentum. So obviously it is possible, just very unlikely. So kind of the 555 area would be my absolute top target. A more realistic short area that we could get into is around that 470. Now to the downside, if we fail kind of off this 413, or kind of just fail before we come into this 470, or we come into this 470 and pull back, what are then our targets? So we will probably get small bounces off this 390 to 380 level. However, it wouldn't be a level I would trade because it would be a lot less predictable, as we've been in this range for about the last 13 days. So around the last 10 market days. So I would personally wait for it to kind of break out of here and break the original low, or this pullback low of around 350. Then I wouldn't personally be touching it for quite a while on the downside. If I was looking to get long on it or anything like that, I would be looking for quite a far way away at around 225 to 205. So we probably won't see that any time within the next week, because it would mean that it has to pull back around 50%, which isn't that likely. However, this 307 to around 293 may happen this week. Is possible. It has pulled back around 25%, but isn't impossible in a large cap stock that's moving up 7.5% in one day. If it comes into this level, we will most likely get a bounce off this level, and it will usually be quite strong. However, if we do break through this 293 level, that will be that key level. So by the time we actually come into this level, it may be closer to around 290. But if we do break through that level, we are most likely going to collapse down to this 225 level. So that's just a key thing on watch. If we break below this 290 level and hold it, we're nearly guaranteed. Obviously you can't guarantee anything, but I would be highly surprised if it didn't come down to test the 225 and 205 level. So in summary, if it breaks through this 290 level, I would start being very bearish on it until it comes into the 225 level. So those are kind of the price targets that I would be looking at. Now I'll quickly go through what I imagine will happen in the next few days, just to give you insight into what I'm predicting will maybe happen with Moderna. So where we are right now, what is quite likely is we will get at least a small pullback off this move. So that may mean we come back into this 390 area and continue this consolidation, or we may pull back to this 390 and break higher. If we do break higher, I would be looking for price targets of 470 before I even look to touch that stock. And we may get some hesitation around the 430 to 425 area. So those are kind of just key levels. If you are maybe long, they could be good areas to maybe lock in some profit, because we could bounce off here and that could be the end of the move depending on how many sellers step in at this point here. But yeah, onto the upside, I don't see us going any higher than this 470, at least in the short term. So that would be where I would either lock in profits or start to short. Now to the downside, what could happen is we come and test this 470, or where we kind of are now, this resistance. If we fail either of those levels, we could quite likely come back into test this. And again, if we don't stay in this consolidation, we will most likely break further down. And that's where we'll come and test these 307 to 390 levels. I'm only really concerned with this is if we break through this 290 level. If we break through that, like I said, we will most likely come down to this 225, and probably relatively quick. It probably won't be a long move. It'll probably happen within a week or so. If it comes into this 225 to 205 level, that is where I would look to start getting some good long plays, because what most likely would happen is, obviously we've had strong momentum. What will probably happen on this sell-off is it's kind of pulled back, starts to consolidate, and then we may get that pushed down, and we'll get to that point where it'll come into here. And if we break through this, that will be kind of, well, very oversold, and will probably be a bit of an overreaction. So you'll most likely get that strong bounce off these deviation levels, at least back to kind of this $300 level. So that's why I would be looking to go in with kind of a good size on this swing, because that's how I would trade this as a swing trade, because we wouldn't have to risk all that much. I would probably do it through options, so I may be risking a few percent, probably be risking closer to about 10 to 20% on the options, but we could quite easily get 100% plus on these options if we're looking to make a minimum of a $75 move. Especially if we're averaging in at 205, we are getting more than probably a $75 move, so those contracts should probably make a good amount of money. I'm not going to bother giving any price targets any further down, but I mean, you can see them at these statistical deviations. Those would be the price targets of 142, 116 and all that. But if it does break through here, especially in the short term, then I personally wouldn't want to trade it, because there's just too much of a reaction off the stock. If it's doing that anywhere before the end of September, I personally just wouldn't be trading those levels. Mainly just because it's, an overreaction. So with an overreaction, yes, you'll probably get that strong bounce, but it's a matter of when you'll get that strong bounce, because it probably means a lot of retail traders are trading it if it's really falling down that far. So they don't tend to follow these deviations as strongly if it's more retail trader based, because they're more retail traders tend to just more randomly buy and sell. So that's just one thing to look out of. If we do come down to this 140 level, I would be a bit more cautious and maybe not do as many long bias trades until we see a new uptrend confirmation. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace.